Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Lama Fede. And today a very important question came up, which is what is Tantra? What is Tantra and what does it mean to practice Tantra? So let me try to very briefly define it. We might say, if we hear what are usually being said about Tantra practice, that oftentimes Tantra, the word, it is conflated with, and let me draw, I'm going to draw very quickly here, an embedded drawing, so have some patience. We could say that Tantra is often conflated to sex. This has been a reading that, while it has a lot to do with the imperialistic way that India conquered that India was conquered by England, and you have all the texts about Arthur Avalon and all the rest. This really took off in the 60s and 70s of the last century, and Osho basically made it ultra popular, right? Bear in mind that Osho wasn't recognized as a guru by no one in India. So, in a way, it's his own reading of Tantra. And from this, the whole, let's say, wellness industry, tantric capitalist, sex positive vibe of Margot Anand and all the rest come. Now, I don't have anything against that. I think that being sex positive is great. Having a focus on your own health is great. But it's certainly not Tantra. So we might say that this that comes here is not necessarily the same as what is here, Tantra. Right? So if you want to know more about why it's not, there is a text called Notiblemente Domesticado by me at Buddhist Store. It's in Spanish, but you can perhaps use Google Translate, or there are some translation being worked right now. Essentially details the difference between what I call neo-tantrism and what is actual Tantra, right? So you might say, okay, it's not necessarily sex, but certainly it's a lot of magic and mantras and mandalas or yantras. Let us call this the magic approach, right? And it's not necessarily that also. You see, there is a lot of magic even in the beginning of the Hindu text with the Vedas. People nowadays tend to think that the Vedas are like this kind of boring recitation of ancient names. They're manuals full of magic. If you want to learn magic, Hindu-style magic, especially Indo-European-style magic, this is the way to go. There are chants to get luck at dice, there are rituals to bind the gods, there is a lot of things. So it's not necessarily that. Now, a closer reading might say, no, there are a kind of books, a genre of books, which are called Tantras. Now this is hewing closer to the heart of the thing. There are books that are called Tantras, and these are usually classified as part of the Tantric path itself. But there are books that are not classified as Tantras, like the Vairochanabhis and Bodhisutra, which are Tantras. And there are a lot of things that one expect to find in Tantras, like for example the sexual part, which are also sutras. It's the opposite. Like for example the famous Kama Sutra, it's a sutra. It's not a restricted text, anyone could read it, even in an Hindu setting. So what is Tantra? Tantra, essentially, it's basically the path of guru devotion. Tantra is the path where the guru, which is a figure that has existed from a long time, right? as the teacher, as any kind of teacher, it's taken as deity. Whereas in, for example, in the Vedas, you have the priests who are the intermediary between the deity and the practitioner or the petitioner. Here, the guru is the deity, so to speak. It is deity, it is bad. And this is a concept that does not come fully formed out of nowhere. It has a very clear progression, historical progression that starts in the first books that we have in the Vedic times in India, and it goes on and gets refined. So what you would have in an early Tantra, like the Vairocana body, would be very different than what you have in a later time Tantra, like the Kalachakra Tantra. And because this happens in the Indian milieu, in the Indian cultural sphere, Tantra usually appears mainly in Hinduism, in Buddhism, and in Jainism. And it usually has three characteristics. One, tends to integrate practice. So you don't have unholy practices, right? But you integrate practice like sex and eating and getting drunk and doing magic, all in the path. Tends to be tightly knit. And it's always taught from a guru. These are the three basic characteristics that you will find in all of these three branches that you may have. Now, which one is right for you? That depends on your view. But if you have some more questions, my personal advice is that you take the P1 course. This is the intro to all these concepts. Then in the P2, you learn all what is called the generational stage. And the P3 deals with completion stage. I hope this has been useful, and we'll talk very soon. Salam.